What's up?
Oh, I'm just compiling all the top sports scores, news, and odds so I can make the very best bets.
Me too. BetOnline.ag.
Join today and receive your 50% welcome bonus at betonline.ag.
Why on earth would you say, yeah, let's pair up and let's go to fill in the blank city with Brooklyn, the Knicks, whatever, and pair up, only to see him sitting on the end of the bench while you're up there slagging up and down the games without anybody next to you that's any better than what you're dealing with in Boston? It's dumb. It's foolish. Makes no sense. What do you think?
It's just brutal on the teams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just going to – so listen, the reason they want a long-term deal, like something with Hayward, let's just compare the two, right? Hayward's freak injury, and in a lot of ways, Kevin Durant's injury was freak too. I mean, I realize it was in the same area of the same leg, and maybe it was a conditioning thing and he shouldn't have come back quite so quickly because maybe there was atrophy in the Achilles and that's what resulted in that. I really don't know. But either way, in the end, there's no way to predict that, just like there was no way to predict what happened to Gordon Hayward. Here's the difference, and this is a perfect contrast. Despite the fact that we lost Hayward for a season due to that being an opening night injury, despite the fact that we kind of lost him for this season as he was forcing his way back from rehab, we still have several years on this deal to get something out of it. And he's gone through it. He's more battle tested. And I honestly believe that what he really needs is one full offseason, which he's about to get, for him to come back. Now, will he be dominant? Will he be the player that we hoped we would get for the entire contract? Maybe not. I mean, certainly, do we get less value than we had hoped? Of course. If he's not playing, you're not getting value. But here's the difference. Under this contract, we're going to get value because there's years on the back end where he's likely to perform. And for Kevin Durant, he very well could pick up the option, get paid $30+ million to rehab, and then pack his bags and head to New York. We could see a 1-and-1 deal with Kyrie Irving this season. Don't think for a second that that's not on the table. And if that same contract was signed by Kyrie, the two of them could end up in New York City a year after next. And there we are again in the same position. I know I see your face, and our podcast listeners can't see you bobbing and weaving and floating like a butterfly.
Hold on,
and
let me
you're
make
ready
noise.
to sting like a bee. But it could, listen, and maybe it doesn't happen because of what just happened to Durant, even for Kyrie's own personal benefit. Like, it's not just not good for the team; it's not good for the player either, because Gordon Hayward, had he signed a 1-and-1, and that had happened, he'd be coming, even if he picked up his option this year and played, he's not getting paid the same amount over the next 2 to 3 seasons coming off the way he played this past year on a new contract. He's not getting paid the same amount as he's getting paid by the Celtics over the next few years. He'd almost have to take another risk and sign a 1-on-1. There's a reason these deals go long, and it's best for everybody.
It's bestest too. I agree.
It's
no, it is.
Although asbestos is cancerous.
Asbestos, and we'll talk about the way that this team got together later on. No, I think you're right. The one thing I would say is this is what's going to be interesting, right? And it goes back to the KD thing, and it impacts what happens with AD and what happens with Kyrie. If you're the Lakers, the J-Lo of the NBA, that one's never going away, by the way.
That's really bad too.
It's really more than
G League.
Not.
I mean, J-Lo's J-Lo, but still.
We love J-Lo. Nothing wrong with J-Lo, but that's a weird kind of comparison.
Well, it's definitely LA, right? I mean,
yeah. But she's
or
Jenny
is it
from
more
the block.
New York?
She's from the Bronx.
Yeah. It's
So
New
weird.
York.
So weird. Yeah, that's Rich Paul for you. You get in a situation. Okay, so what's LA going to do, right? You've got LeBron.
Does that make Rich Paul Ike Turner?
Oh God, I'm not going there.
Sorry,
I'm not
ahead.
going there. I'm not going there. But let's okay. Here's the thing. If you're LA, you've got LeBron James, 35 years old. He's got 3 years left of his deal. They've got all this cap space. They've got these young players. Let's say the deal doesn't happen for AD. Do you think they're going to hold that cap space? Do you think they're going to do 1-year deals or 1 year with a team option for a second on a whole bunch of guys like Rondo? And hell no, they're not going to do that. They got to go out and get somebody, right? So they're going to they're going to put themselves. I don't see how they're going to have cap space a year from now. Maybe they can flip a guy to a second team or whatever, but I think it's really difficult. Now you move to say, Brooklyn. If Brooklyn doesn't get Kyrie, or because KD doesn't come, they've got to re-up D'Angelo Russell. So, and the Knicks are the one team that possibly could keep their cap space, sign the 1-year deals, and move on, and it still be available. But that situation is no better than it was, unless you think RJ Barrett's going to change the culture there, which, as a Duke guy, I love my Duke guys,
Dude, no
but that's not
rookie
RJ
comes
Barrett.
in and changes the culture anyway. It just doesn't work that way. This is a prove yours. Even with you have to be one hell of an awesome player to come in out of the draft and be a culture changer. And
Agreed.
the team's got to get gutted, and you got to have vets who are totally sold on being that vet for the club around that player. And typically they're the ones setting the tone that early. And this isn't anything to be disparaging against rookies, but how can you set a tone for a culture that you haven't ever lived in yet? It just doesn't happen, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I guess that's kind of my point, right? Is like, so you take all that, and even if you sign these 1-year deals, of course people are going to try to augment themselves and say, well, we're just going to have a redo in 2020 of all these guys that didn't move.
And
right,
by redo, you're
19.
talking REDUX, right?
Right. We're gonna back through it, and Kyrie's gonna be a free agent, AD is gonna be a free agent, and KD, right? Okay, that could happen, but it takes years and years and years of planning to get to the point where the Celtics are at, to go after who they've got. The Nets are going to start to have people. Jared Allen's is going to be extension eligible, and I'm not saying you don't do it because of Jared Allen, but like, there is a timetable that these teams start to get squeezed a little bit, and it becomes harder and harder to make that available. On top of that, Boston then has a situation where, hopefully, unlike this past year, they have a successful year, and they have something to sell both of those guys on. Again, my belief is Kyrie was not the bad apple in 2018. He was a fine player, a great player. Someone was hurt, who was battling with something.
You're teeing up the
Didn't do
outtakes,
well.
baby. You're teeing up the outtakes.